In order to give my husband a surprise, I secretly went to his concert to visit him backstage. However, I saw him passionately kissing a well-known young actress in the dressing room. The young actress kissed my husband's Adam's apple and said "Coca the sly" with a charming smile. "Compared to that shrew of your family, am I better?" Maxwell put his arm around the other person's slender waist and gently nibbled at her collarbone, saying, "Focus. Don't mention that dirty thing." I closed the slightly ajar door and called my assistant, saying, "Inform the company to cancel all cooperation with Maxwell." Maxwell didn't get home until 5 o'clock in the early morning the next day. He pounced on the bed reeking of alcohol, hugged me tightly, and kept rubbing his head against my back. "Wife, I drank too much and I'm thirsty." I closed my eyes and didn't make any movement. In the past, no matter how late he came back, I would always wait for him. Then I would feed him the hangover soup that I had cooked and kept warm, and clean up the vomit that was all over the place. But today I didn't want to do anything. Maxwell pushed me to satisfied lie. When he saw that I still didn't move, he got up and went to the bathroom. Buzz. His mobile phone placed on the bedside table vibrated, and an explicit message popped up. It was from the young actress Mia. "Maxwell, you're so amazing. I still want to." I turned my head and closed my eyes again, feeling cold in my heart. He had been with that young actress all night. Half an hour later, Maxwell lay back on the bed again with the smell of water vapor. Leaning against the headboard, he didn't put down his mobile phone. From time to time, I could feel him leaning over to observe me. I kept my eyes tightly closed and pretended to be asleep. Early the next morning, when I was getting up and washing, I saw the lipstick marks on the white shirt in the laundry basket. I picked it up and found that there were more than one mark, on the collar, the cuffs, and also. I don't know when Maxwell appeared behind me. He snatched the shirt from me and said expressionlessly, "It was accidentally rubbed on. You mean the fans are very enthusiastic." I looked at his Adam's apple that kept bobbing up and down, and a hint of mockery flashed in my eyes. He always did this when he was nervous. Too lazy to expose him, I turned around and left. Then I found a bunch of bright imported roses in the living room. Maxwell hugged my waist from behind and said, "Let's go have Western food today. I've already made a reservation." As usual, Maxwell took me to our regular Western restaurant. Looking at the French dishes I liked on the table, I felt a wave of nausea instead. I couldn't eat a bite. Maxwell noticed that I was in a bad mood. He put down his knife and fork and asked attentively, "Wife, you don't seem to have much appetite today. Is it that you don't like the dessert today, or the foie gras isn't tender enough? I'll call the manager right away." I quickly lowered my head to hide my absent-minded expression. "The food tastes great. I'm just thinking about something." Maxwell nodded, then took out a gift box and opened it in front of me. It was a shiny diamond necklace. Exquisitely crafted and uniquely designed. It was a necklace that I had liked for a long time, but I didn't have the heart to buy it because it was too expensive. I had used all my money to fully support Maxwell's career. "I couldn't accompany you yesterday. This is my apology gift for you. Do you like it?" He took out the necklace and put it on me. His movements were gentle and his tone was soft. But this romantic scene couldn't suppress the chill in my heart. I saw this necklace around Mia's neck just yesterday. If I hadn't been impulsive and gone to see him yesterday and witnessed that stimulating scene, I could never have believed that such a man who often created romantic surprises for me would actually give me a green hat. He gave me a necklace that someone else had worn as an apology gift. Did he think of me as trash, so he thought I only deserved such trash? Yesterday was his concert and also our wedding anniversary. I stiffened my body, unconsciously reached out and pinched the pendant of the necklace, and forcibly held back the urge to tear it off and throw it away. After fastening the necklace, Maxwell didn't leave immediately. Instead, he held my shoulders and rubbed them while saying, "Wife, I have a private interview tomorrow." He spoke hesitantly, and I understood what he meant next. "I'm going on a business trip to a neighboring city tomorrow. I'll leave at 7 in the morning. Maxwell's tone became cheerful. My wife still understands me best. I lowered my eyes. Maxwell is a well-known idol singer with a good-looking face and many female fans. In order to gain popularity, he chose to keep our marriage a secret, and I have always cooperated. Except for the company's boss and a few senior executives with real power, no one knows about our marriage. Maxwell sat down happily and continued to cut the steak. Before he cut it a few times, his mobile phone suddenly rang with a message tone. He leaned over to take a look, then glanced at me and put on an apologetic smile. Well, wife, my manager wants me to go back and reshoot the promotional video for the last endorsement. I forced a smile and nodded. It's okay. Go and take care of it. Maxwell left in a hurry. I took off the necklace and threw it back into the gift box. I was about to throw it away, but then I thought about it and put it away. I quietly finished my share of the steak, took the gift box and went home. Then I called my assistant and threw the gift box to her. Deal with it, as I said. My assistant left with the gift box, and I started packing my luggage. The business trip was real. There were some loose ends of contracts that needed to be dealt with. Early the next morning, I went out. I rushed to the neighboring city for a meeting non-stop, solved the follow-up matters, and then dragged my tired body back in the car. The driver drove steadily, and I soon fell asleep. I was woken up by the driver when we arrived at the underground parking lot. Then I realized that my mobile phone was turned off. I didn't bring the charging cable. I was very tired and just wanted to go back and rest quickly. So I waved the driver away and entered the elevator by myself. It was already dark outside. The interview should have ended. I took out the key and went to open the door directly, but I found that the door was locked from the inside. I could only ring the doorbell. It took a long time for Maxwell to open the door. When he saw it was me, the panic in his eyes couldn't be hidden. He pushed me away and against the wall, and closed the door casually. He said in a deep voice, why are you back? Didn't I call your assistant and ask her to tell you that it wasn't over here yet? I took out my black-screened mobile phone and waved it in front of him warily. It's out of power. Maxwell was about to say something more when a charming voice suddenly came from inside the house. Brother Maxwell, who's outside? It was Mia's voice. So it was her. Maxwell shouted towards the house in a panic, it's the property management downstairs. They're doing a routine inspection. Then he pushed me and silently mouthed the words, leave quickly, before slamming the door shut. The voice activated light in the corridor turned on and then went out. I stood in the dark, feeling cold all over. I didn't know how I left. When I came to my senses, I was already sitting in the car. What private interview? It turned out to be a private interview between the two of them. 3 hours later, I saw Mia walking into the underground parking lot openly with a microphone in her hand, only wearing a mask on her face. And Maxwell followed behind her. He sent her to an Annie van in a confident manner, and then turned back to look around. Soon, he saw my car and then walked over quickly and knocked on the car window. When I unlocked the car, he opened the door and sat directly in. The interview needed to be recorded on video, and there was an Easter egg segment that took a long time to record. I didn't say anything and listened to his explanation expressionlessly. Maxwell took my hand and said apologetically, wife, don't be angry. I had no choice just now. I directly pulled my hand back, got out of the car, took the elevator upstairs, and went straight into the bedroom. The bedroom was neatly tidied up, but the windows hadn't been open for ventilation. The turbid smell after a man and a woman had been intimate hit my nostrils directly. I couldn't help but gag. I pushed Maxwell, who followed me, and ran to another bathroom and etched for a long time. I hadn't eaten much all day, and my stomach was empty. I could only vomit up some bitter water. Maxwell stood by the door, looking at me with a complicated expression. Could you be pregnant? Of course not. Maxwell had always wanted a child, but considering that he was still in the rising stage of his career, I didn't want to distract him, so I had always been taking contraceptive measures. I was just disgusted by him and Mia. I silently took a glass of water to rinse my mouth, washed my face, and then suppressed the urge to slap Maxwell in the face. I didn't answer his question. Instead, I said calmly, "Maxwell, let's get a divorce." "What?" I turned around, bypassed Maxwell who hadn't reacted yet, took out a document from my bag, and handed it to him. "Sign your name, and we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to complete the divorce procedures." Maxwell flipped through the divorce agreement, and his expression changed in an indescribable way. Finally, he threw the document aside and rushed over to hug me. "Wife, what's wrong with you? Why do you want to divorce me all of a sudden? Have I been too busy with work recently and made you feel neglected?" "I'm sorry, it's my fault. After I finish these busy days, I will definitely spend more time with you." "Didn't you always want to go skiing? I'll ask my assistant to book the plane tickets and buy the equipment tomorrow, and then we—" I pushed him away forcefully and said coldly, "Maxwell, do you still want to use such words to deceive me?" Maxwell looked completely puzzled and tried to hold my hand, but I shook it off vigorously. "Wife, when have I ever deceived you? Unjust?" I interrupted him. "The day before yesterday, backstage at the awards ceremony, I saw it." Maxwell's words got stuck in his throat, and the color drained from his face instantly. "I saw the whole process of you and Mia. Today," I pointed at the bedroom, "you've been fooling around with her in this room all day. Don't you think I can't smell the disgusting odor?" Maxwell panicked completely. He grabbed my arm and knelt down with a thud, slapping himself 5 or 6 resounding slaps on the face. I was a bit stunned by his actions and subconsciously took a step back. Unexpectedly, he directly pounced on me, hugged my legs, and burst into tears. "Wife, I was wrong, wife, she seduced me. I was drugged yesterday, and then she showed up. All of this was her plan. She still has the videos and photos. Today, she came to threaten me with them. She said that if I don't stay with her, she will expose these things. Wife, you know that I'm at a crucial moment right now. If these things are exposed, my whole life will be ruined. Wife, believe me, I had no choice." Maxwell spewed out a flood of words, not only clearing himself of all blame but also shifting the blame onto Mia. I was so angry that I laughed. Drugged? Threatened with photos and videos? How could a grown man like him be threatened by a woman with such means? What's more, he was perfectly sober that day. I pushed Maxwell away with all my might. When I couldn't break free, I kicked him until he let go of me. I took out a stack of photos and threw them at his feet. These photos were all sent to me by Mia. They were sent the day before yesterday, and I received them at noon today. They detailed every time she was with Maxwell. Mia had even thoughtfully marked each photo with the date, time, and number of times. It really was hard work for her to put so much effort into it. Maxwell looked at these photos, his expression changing unpredictably. I didn't even want to look at him for another second. I quickly packed a few sets of clothes and turned to leave this filthy house. I had another property before marriage elsewhere, a small apartment. I regularly hired a housekeeping aide to clean it, so it was still relatively clean. I dragged my suitcase, drove there directly, took a shower, and went to bed. I plugged my phone into charge but didn't turn it on. When I woke up, besides a few reporting calls from my assistant, there were over 100 missed calls from Maxwell. There were also dozens of long text messages that were like mini essays. I took a quick glance and they were all full of excuses and attempts to shift the blame. First, he denied the authenticity of those photos, and then he said that all of this was the company's arrangement. He was a newly debuted artist, and Mia was a popular young actress. The company asked him to take advantage of her popularity for hype so that he could obtain good resource cooperation, which was beneficial to his future development. He also said that every time he thought of me, only in this way could he ease a little of the guilt in his heart. Now that I had found out, the big stone weighing on his heart had been lifted. In the end, he said that he really loved me and really didn't want a divorce. He asked me to give him another chance, and he would definitely perform well. I just felt extremely disgusted. especially when I saw him say that every time he imagined her face as mine, I couldn't hold back the acid in my stomach. I quickly blocked all of Maxwell's contact information and called my assistant again. "Hasn't the matter been taken care of yet?" My assistant quickly said on the other end of the phone, "Daphne, don't worry. We've been rushing to deal with it. At the latest, everything will be properly arranged by next week." I held back my annoyance and hung up the phone, then got up to work. Time passed quickly, and 5 days went by in a flash. Every day, I would unblock Maxwell's number for a while and call him to ask when he would go through the divorce procedures. As soon as I got a negative answer, I would immediately hang up and block him again. Today was the same as usual, but unexpectedly, Maxwell didn't answer the phone, which was a rare occurrence. I didn't care either. After blocking him again, I opened the door for the appointed stylist. There was an awards ceremony today, and as a special guest, I needed to attend. Coincidentally, when I appeared in the banquet hall wearing a sapphire blue dress, I saw Mia wearing a similar dress. Except that hers was a cute pink. And around her neck was a familiar necklace. It was exactly the one I asked my assistant to deal with and send back to her. To be fair, as a popular young actress, Mia had some real talent. The pink color, which would make most people look sallow, actually made her look extremely charming. I saw an acquaintance and was about to walk over with a wine glass when she suddenly came over and blocked my way. "What do you want?" I had an impatient expression on my face. I didn't want to look at this woman even for a second. Mia looked at me with a proud demeanor and said, "I know you. You're Daphne. Brother Maxwell said you're just a shrew. But now that I see you, you actually have a pretty good appearance." I wasn't surprised at all that Mia knew me. As a popular young actress, it wasn't that difficult to find out something when she really wanted to. So what? I saw my friend waving at me and just wanted to leave quickly. Mia looked me up and down with a look of disdain on her face. "Although you have an attractive face, your figure. TSKDSK, it's just mediocre. But you're just an ordinary person after all, so it's normal to have an average figure. I just want to tell you that Brother Maxwell has a bright future ahead of him. If you're sensible, don't stand in his way. If you really care about him, you should make way for his future." So that's what she was talking about. I smiled and swayed the wine glass in my hand, wondering whether it would be more appropriate to pour the wine on Mia's head or splash it on her face, when I saw Maxwell walking over. When he saw me, a complex expression flashed across his face. Mia directly stepped forward and hooked her arm around Maxwell's, saying in a coquettish voice, "Brother Maxwell, isn't this your awards ceremony today? Did she come here suddenly because she wants to reveal your relationship? Today is a crucial day for you. If negative news like this spreads, your whole life will be over." Maxwell's face indeed darkened a bit. He patted the back of Mia's hand, pulled her behind him reassuringly, and then stood in front of me and said softly, "Daphne, let's talk about our business when we get back. Don't cause trouble in this situation. It's not good for anyone." I couldn't help but sneer. The person who had knelt down and begged me to give him a chance a few days ago now wanted to kick me away like trash for the sake of his future. I didn't want to argue with him either, so I nodded as if going along with it. "Sure. As long as you promise to sign the divorce agreement and go through the procedures with me tomorrow, I'll leave." There was a commotion at the entrance of the banquet hall. Some big shots were coming with a group of media people. A look of panic flashed across Maxwell's face, and he nodded repeatedly. "I promise you. I'll sign it as soon as the banquet is over. Hurry up and leave." I smiled with the wine glass in my hand, walked past him, and headed towards the entrance. Maxwell's face turned dark with anger. He grabbed my arm and said in a stern voice, "Are you crazy? I've already agreed to your terms. What else do you want? Stop causing trouble and go back quickly." My arm was pinched painfully by him. I was so angry that I struggled to break free, and there was anger in my tone. "Maxwell, who exactly is causing trouble here?" We were very close to the entrance, and our arguments soon attracted everyone's attention. Those media reporters were as sharp as a hawk. Sensing something, they immediately rushed over with cameras and microphones. Maxwell was so anxious that he cursed in a low voice. He quickly stepped forward to block the approaching reporters and accused me first. Everyone, don't get the wrong idea. It's just a fan who's crazy about me and wants an autographed album. I hope you'll give me some face and not cause trouble for the fan. After all, they just like me too much, and it's not their fault. These words full of false pretenses made the media reporters stunned. Maxwell quickly took the opportunity to call the security guards and tried to carry me out. However, my friend walked over on her slender high heels and stood by my side. Maxwell, are you out of your mind? Don't you know who she is? How could I not know? Since when did my friend become your crazy fan? With your singing level that requires on-site pitch correction, is it worth my friend going crazy for you? The one speaking was the well-deserved queen of the entertainment industry in this generation, Emma. She was also my best friend who had grown up with me since we were children, sharing the same clothes. Since she debuted at the age of 15, she has won all kinds of awards in the entertainment industry, spanning 3 major fields. In just 5 years, she achieved a grand slam and became the well-deserved queen of the contemporary entertainment industry. As long as she was willing, she could point at any random passerby and directly help that person rise to the front line of the industry. As soon as she appeared, she had a natural spotlight effect, and all eyes immediately focused on us. The expression on Maxwell's face kept changing. It was Mia who walked out gracefully, with a respectful demeanor, and said, Ms. Do you know this Ms. Daphne? Looking at my calm face, Emma couldn't help but show a faint smile. Then she turned her head and said coldly to Mia, she's my special guest. What do you think? Mia was pricked by the somewhat sarcastic words and her face turned a bit unpleasant. And since Maxwell saw that the reporters were already taking photos and videos with their cameras, he couldn't lose his temper either. He could only say awkwardly, I'm sorry. I thought she was a fan. Ma had her own bodyguards, so naturally she wasn't afraid of being surrounded by these reporters. Soon she led me out of the encirclement and came to her own exclusive lounge backstage. As soon as we entered the door, she directly pushed me against the wall, her eyes red, and said, Daphne, you secretly ran to this place just to marry that scumbag? Where's your brain? Huh? I've already reminded you that Maxwell is not a good person. But you just eloped with him directly. If this guy who lives off women hadn't debuted, I'm afraid it would really have been difficult for me to find you. Why did you hide yourself so tightly? Do you think I'll eat you? Or do you think Godfather and Godmother won't forgive you? I felt guilty and averted my eyes, not daring to meet her gaze. I am sorry. I was really out of my mind at that time. Momo was the same age as me, but she was more mature than me. Since childhood, she had been the perfect child in other people's families. Not only did she have excellent grades, but she also had a precocious soul. She knew what she wanted very early on and would strive for it. I naturally envied her and always took her as a goal to catch up with. My apology full of regret made Emma unable to hold back anymore. She hugged me affectionately. Look at you. You were always so competitive since you were a child. How could you fall into the hands of such a weakling? I felt a pang of sadness in my heart and patted her shoulder, saying, It's okay. I've seen the error of my ways and have already proposed a divorce. It's just that he still refuses to sign. Mommy immediately rolled up her sleeves. With his pathetic appearance, how dare he play hard to get? Do you need my help? Just say the word, and I'll have him blacklisted in the entire entertainment industry right away. I quickly covered her mouth, feeling both annoyed and amused. My dear sister, you're the queen of the entertainment industry now. Don't keep talking about blacklisting people casually. It's easy to attract negative attention. Don't worry. I can handle it. I looked at the time and pushed Emma out, saying, The ceremony is about to start. Hurry up and go. You're the award presenter tonight. Don't be late. Me turned back 3 times in one step and told me, Don't you dare run away. I'll deal with you when I get back. Maxwell, without any surprise, won the newcomer award tonight. Originally, Memo was supposed to present the award to him, but she directly found someone else to replace her at the last minute. This naturally aroused a lot of speculation among the reporters. And Maxwell's joy of winning the award was completely dissipated because of this. He had a gloomy face for the rest of the ceremony. I didn't wait for Emma. I slipped away before the ceremony ended. I had to go back and pack my things. As a result, just as I finished packing and was about to go out, I ran into Maxwell, who had rushed back. Before I could hide, I was directly and tightly hugged by Maxwell. "Great wife, you're finally back." I smelled the perfume on him that belonged to Mia. I felt disgusted and broke free. I held back the urge to slap him in the face and said coldly, "Maxwell, don't forget what you promised me." Maxwell's eyes instantly turned red, and he said, "Wife, I've already won the newcomer award. My future is finally bright. Please don't make trouble, okay? I will definitely not treat you badly." "Make trouble?" I laughed out of anger. "Maxwell, haven't you treated me badly enough?" An impatient look flashed across Maxwell's face. "I've already said that my relationship with Mia was the company's arrangement. I didn't want it to be like that either. But this is the way this industry is. What can I do?" I really didn't have the mood to argue with him anymore. "I know this industry is not clean. I reminded you when you entered the industry. It was you who insisted on going your own way, vowing that you wouldn't be assimilated and that you would definitely make a name for yourself queenly. Now that you've gone against your original aspiration, I have nothing more to say. You're not the Queen Maxwell you used to be, and I don't want to stay in the same room with such a person anymore. Quickly sign the divorce agreement. I'll set you free, and I also ask you to give me back my peace. If you insist on not signing, then don't blame me for directly suing you." I left this former home without looking back, not even glancing at Maxwell, who was kneeling on the ground. When I woke up the next day, I found that I had become popular. The top trending topic on the hot search list had a prominent headline that read, "The significant woman hidden in the Queen's heart is actually her." The accompanying picture was the scene of Emma pulling me to avoid the pursuit of reporters. Mule was pulling me, lifting her skirt and running ahead with all her might. The expression on her face when she turned back was really ambiguous. But I didn't know if it was the media's intention. Only my back wearing a blue dress could be seen in the picture, and my front face couldn't be seen. This made me heave a sigh of relief. I quickly sent a message to Emma. "Emma, I was wrong. I shouldn't have left secretly last night. Can you help me take down that trending topic?" Mummy immediately sent me a voice message in reply. "Realize your mistake." I sent a crazy nodding emoji and then a red envelope. Only then was she satisfied and said, "All right then, considering your sincere attitude." As the well-deserved queen of the entertainment industry, Maya's influence was naturally powerful. It was just a matter of minutes for her to take down a trending topic. But since she debuted all these years, she had never been involved in any scandal, and many people had been speculating about her sexual orientation. So although she took it down quickly, the news still spread. Countless netizens thought this was solid evidence of her sexual orientation. Countless fans' dreams were shattered, and they all wanted to dig deep into this woman who only showed her back. Looking at those extreme and terrifying comments on the internet, I was sweating profusely on my back. To my surprise, Maxwell also came to me because of this matter. Even more surprisingly, he actually found the place where I lived. I didn't bother to find out how he found me. I directly blocked him outside the door. "Did you come here to sign the agreement?" Maxwell pursed his lips, looking humble, and seemingly sincerely said, "Wife, I didn't come here to talk about this." I made a move as if to close the door. He slapped his hand on the door frame and said anxiously, "When did you get to know Emma?" "Why do you ask?" Maxwell's tone became very gentle and he said, "Can you introduce us to each other? As long as I can get in touch with her, I'll promise you anything you want." I laughed. So that was it. I no longer felt any sense of disappointment towards Maxwell's attempt to use me. "Maxwell, you've deceived me more than once or twice. I don't believe any of your promises. I'll still say the same thing. I'll give you 7 days. If you don't sign, I'll sue you. I slammed the door shut in his face and called the property management. The security guards soon came up and dragged away Maxwell, who was unwilling and kept pounding on the door. I thought Maxwell had some bottom line at least. But I didn't expect that although he was driven away at noon, there was a new trending topic in the afternoon. It showed the scene of Maxwell meeting me. I was inside the room and Maxwell was in the corridor. This time, I wasn't so lucky. Not only was my front face revealed, but even the house number of my home and the real address of the apartment were completely dug out. What made my heart turn cold was the slogan, "Shocking." The newly debuted idol singer and the queen seemed to have been deceived by the same scheming woman. Someone posted a figure comparison chart related to the previous trending topic. From the hair, height, body curves, and even the moles on the hands were all enlarged and compared together. This immediately caused the internet to explode. A woman having an affair with 2 people isn't extremely shocking, but what if the genders of the 2 people are different? Countless offensive remarks came flooding in. God, this woman not only deceives women but also men. Is she bisexual or what? Damn it, myope. I just became a fan of him, and now his image collapses. I feel sorry for my brother. The queen is so pitiful too. 2 popular celebrities were actually fooled around by a woman. I was stunned, and then I realized that my place wasn't safe anymore. I quickly contacted Emma. Before I could say anything, Mimo spoke first. Don't pay attention to those remarks on the internet. I'll send someone to pick you up right away. The trending topic is already being taken down. Just wait for me with peace of mind. A surge of gratitude welled up in my heart. Me had always been like this. Whenever I was in trouble, she was my firmest support. But I refused her offer. It's too late. Passively taking the hit isn't my style, Emma. I want to borrow your connections to help me do something. Just by thinking about it for a while, I knew that the trending topic in the afternoon was Maxwell's doing. This was his most commonly used method. He placed himself and Dima in the same position of victims and directly put me in a difficult situation. In this way, the fans who felt sorry for the queen would naturally feel sorry for him as well. He could not only gain some popularity but also try to crush me. But what he didn't know was the relationship between Emma and me since we were children. After I finished the call with Emma, I immediately disguised myself, ran to the top floor through the safety passage, and lay on the rooftop looking down. I saw a dense crowd of reporters and fans surrounding the community. From the surveillance on my phone, I saw that my door was also surrounded by reporters who had sneaked in using various identities. I carefully closed and locked the door of the rooftop, and then sent all the evidence in my hand, and the edited text to Emma. Emma had already arranged a team. 10 minutes later, a public announcement and a statement of mine quietly appeared on the internet. The public relations statement was aimed at refuting the rumors and speculations about my relationship with Emma on the internet, and it severely condemned Maxwell's behavior of trying to gain popularity by associating with others. My statement included my marriage certificate with Maxwell, as well as photo and video evidence of his infidelity. My social media account hadn't been exposed yet, so my statement and the conclusive evidence didn't cause much of a stir for the moment. But because the keyword Maxwell was tagged, it was quickly searched out by his fans. The comment section was soon taken over by his fans. But the next moment Emma reposted it and added a caption, "In my life, I most despise men who step on women to get ahead, especially those who step on my sister. They really have some nerve." Then she immediately posted a new update. It was filled with photos of Maxwell and the young actress Mia going in and out together. There were even hotel check-in records. This was more comprehensive and detailed than what I had previously released. I was quite surprised. These materials weren't all given to Emma by me. In fact, she only used the photos of the hotel check-in records, but what was actually released was more than what I had provided. This showed that after I told Emma about my situation with Maxwell, she had also started an investigation. She had a wider network of connections and spent less time on it. Of course, it was also because Maxwell and Mia hadn't hidden their relationship too deliberately. With Emma's actions, the public opinion on the internet immediately reversed. Mia's reputation was well established, and she naturally disdained to quarrel with a newly debuted artist for resources. As a public figure, she didn't take sides easily, unless there was conclusive evidence. So Maxwell's fans were devastated and many of them unfollowed him. In less than an hour, he lost 1/3 of his fans. And Mia, who had more fans, suffered a more severe backlash. With such a big commotion, Maxwell couldn't possibly not know about it. A strange phone call soon came to my phone. I directly muted my phone and refused any unknown calls, focusing on the developments on the internet. The newly debuted idol singer actually has an affair with a popular young actress? This explosive news quickly spread on the internet, and most of the fans and reporters in the community quickly shifted their focus. And the remaining persistent ones couldn't affect me anymore. I immediately took the elevator from the top floor and went directly to the underground parking lot. There was already an SUV with a privacy film waiting for me there. When I arrived at Emma's villa, she was sitting on the sofa with a dark expression, watching the light interview of Maxwell and Mia. Coincidentally, when the reporters were frantically looking for these two people, they happened to be together. They were caught red-handed on the spot. It was broadcast live immediately. If it weren't for this, the public opinion wouldn't have shifted so quickly. After all, the combined number of fans of Mia and Maxwell was still quite large. Even with Emma's status as the queen, it couldn't completely suppress them. At least, there would have been a heated argument for a while. Unfortunately, the blurred intimate scenes directly left the fans of the two with no excuses to make up. When she saw me enter the door, Emma directly pulled me to her side and said in a tone of frustration, "I thought you just met an ordinary scumbag, but I didn't expect Maxwell to be so despicable. What were you thinking? Since you already knew that he had an ambiguous relationship with that little slut Mia, why didn't you leave earlier?" I couldn't help but smile bitterly. Back then, I was so blinded by love that I always put Maxwell's feelings first. Considering his future, I was willing to stay behind the scenes and even took the initiative to suggest a secret marriage. At that time, Maxwell agreed without hesitation. In fact, I felt something was wrong then. He agreed too quickly, making me feel that he seemed to have been looking forward to it all along. But I was so immersed in my self-moving that I didn't notice these abnormalities. Since I decided to end my relationship with Maxwell, I started to review everything. These abnormal points emerged one by one. How could I not understand now? From beginning to end, Maxwell was just using me. It was just that his methods were so clever that I was willing to propose it myself. In this way, he became the so-called good man who respected all my wishes. It was simply ridiculous. If I could turn back time, I really wanted to slap my past self and wake myself up earlier. At Emma's house, I finally had a few days of leisure. Until one day, Emma received a phone call. After she hung up the phone, she said to me with a complicated expression, "Maxwell is looking for you. He agrees to sign the divorce agreement." I raised my eyebrows and took Maxwell's phone number out of the blacklist. Sure enough, the next moment, his call came in. As soon as he spoke, I heard the exhaustion mixed with gritted teeth in his voice. "Daphne, you really played a clever move by striking at the root." I lowered my eyes and said coldly, "I learned it from you." If he hadn't made the first move against me, I wouldn't have wanted to be so ruthless. At least with my troublesome personality, I didn't want to be exposed in front of the public. But in the face of the fierce attacks, the best way was to fight back even more fiercely. Maxwell laughed self-deprecatingly and said, "Why did you never tell me that the Maxwell Group is your company?" I pursed my lips and said, "I thought you could tell from the name that it was a company specially established for you." Because of the conclusive evidence of Maxwell's infidelity that I exposed, my identity was finally revealed. In addition to the Daphne Group, it also included the entertainment company I specially prepared for Maxwell's debut. Since he signed the contract, all the best resources in the company had been given to him. It was so obvious, yet he had never suspected it, which showed how inattentive he usually was. It was ridiculous that he could calmly shift the blame for his affair with Mia onto the company. As the owner of the company, how could I possibly allow that? Maxwell fell silent on the other end. Apparently, he also realized how big a flaw he had revealed. After a long while, he said in a hoarse voice, "Let's go through the procedures tomorrow." This time there were no more twists and turns. I successfully got the divorce certificate I wanted and drove away without looking back at the dejected Maxwell. Half a month later, Maxwell, who had terminated all his contracts, completely disappeared from the entertainment industry. I had already sent my assistant to deal with all the contract cooperations I had arranged for him. Not only did we successfully terminate the contracts with him, but it also didn't bring any negative impact to myself. Only Mia was still struggling. She did have some real ability. Although most of her contracts were also terminated, she still had a few endorsements left. After all, for some companies, what they want is popularity. Being popular even with negative publicity is still considered popularity. However, Mia's status was not what it used to be. She had even resorted to live streaming to sell goods, but after just a few days of broadcasting, she was cursed by netizens with intense words until she had to end the live stream. 3 months later, she finally disappeared from the public eye as well. My vacation came to an end, and she started to get busy. But to my surprise, she actually wanted to merge her studio with my entertainment company, which I refused. After I changed the name of that entertainment company, I directly sold it as a whole package. Without Maxwell, there was no point in keeping this company. I had no intention of getting involved in the entertainment industry. It was better to withdraw cleanly and focus on my own business. So with a flick of her pen, Emma took it under her wing. She specialized in training idol singers. In just 3 years, this company, which was renamed Emma, became an incubation base that countless newcomers were desperate to enter. Ma gradually retreated from the spotlight to the backstage and devoted herself to doing what she liked the most. She even finally met the man she liked. In less than a month, they quickly got their marriage certificate, went abroad for their honeymoon, and left the huge company in my hands again. In her words, "How could a good sister bear to let you be single? There are so many young and handsome guys in the company. Just pick one. Any of them is 100 times better than Maxwell." Hearing her annoying words, I couldn't wait to fly to her side and drag her back. After hanging up the phone, I looked at those faces that were full of youthful vitality, but covered in sweat. Eventually, I showed the same smile as Emma.